should see a bridge specialty group slide up on the screen with the agenda for today. And in just a minute or so here, we'll be pulling up our screens to share, again, the demo and show you what it looks like to log in from the bridge side. As we walk through the demo, feel free to drop questions on into the Q&A feature. We'll do our best to get to them as quickly as we can. If not, we'll try to leave some time on the back end for any questions we may have. Alrighty. I'll pass it on over to the bridge team then. We're going to walk you all through how to access the platform, and then I'll go ahead and take over on the back end here to walk you all through what that process looks like.
We'll type in my password, and then it's multi-verification, so we'll send a code to the email address selected. I'm going to just go ahead and access the code here. It sends it to my phone, and let's type in that. I'll just continue to stay signed in. That's just easier and faster. And then you'll sign in and you'll see CoverForce tile. You click on it. Then you just kind of, click on the checkbox, LocalEdge, and then it would pop up the portal on the other screen. So that's how we can access CoverForce.
When you all log into the platform, this is going to be your landing page here. All right, so as a reminder, a couple of things that I'm going to cover today. I'm going to walk you all through a few tools available on the platform for you, a couple housekeeping things, how to get set up for success right when you jump on into the platform. We'll go ahead and walk through setting up a new application, and then we'll go ahead and walk through the renewals process as well, how to set reminders and get through that workflow in the most efficient way possible. Okay, again, any questions you all have, please go ahead and drop them into the Q&A feature. As I mentioned in the agenda, we'll also be walking through some tools like AI document upload tools and whatnot, and CoverForce download tools on the back end. I will be walking you all through those features. Okay, we do have the full hour here. Should be able to get through this in 35 to 40 minutes or so. So hopefully we have some time on the back end for questions. But in any case, we can go ahead and get started. Before I do jump on into it, I do like to cover the main pillars of the platform. All right. So the first is we pull back through this platform multiple accurate quotes for multiple carriers, all on one app and one platform. All right. Because those quotes that are coming back are accurate, agents will actually be able to block markets directly on the platform with the majority of the carriers on the platform. I will call out that there are some exceptions. Okay, so when we get to that part of the demo, I will go ahead and call out those exceptions, but the majority of the carriers that are available on the platform for the majority of lines of business available on the platform will actually give you the ability to block markets because we are returning accurate quotes. So we are not in the space of giving you indicative quotes. Again, there are some exceptions, and I'll call those out in a bit. The third thing is you can download things like initial policy documents with court forms, supplementals on the back end if you're heading to those ENS markets, or you can upload things on the front end like a court forms, policy docs, quote docs, and whatnot on the front end to save you time on the quoting and submission process. Again, something I'll walk you through here in a bit. Fourth and final, your quote data will be preserved on the platform evergreen. Okay, we all have those remarkets, those renewals. Instead of having to go back to each carrier individually, we have a cloning feature that will make your life a heck of a lot easier for those renewals. It'll let you pull information from one app over to a brand new editable application. Just saves you a bunch of time on the front end there. Okay, let's go ahead and jump on in then. Quick lay of the land. So again, when you log on in through the bridge, this is going to be your landing screen. All right, we have our navigation bar up along the top here. We have some metrics for your agency. Recent applications here in the middle. In the bottom right-hand corner are going to be some helpful tools for you. We have our help center linked here. We also have our AI bot. So our AI bot is trained on our help center. So if you didn't want to just go to the help center and start searching for an article, you can type in a description of the issue you're running into here, and it'll do its best to get you an article or a video walkthrough or whatnot that'll help you navigate the platform. You can also open up a ticket that comes directly to our support team. If you did want to connect with our support team, that option is available as well. We also, again, have that support@coverforce.com email I shared with you all earlier that comes directly to our support team, and we'll do our best to get back to you as quickly as we can. All right, so let me go ahead and minimize that. I will also mention the AI chatbot is also trained on assisting with classifying a risk, so picking up the right NAICS or SIC code. It's not always 100% accurate. It is trained on all of that data. But again, I always do like to call and give the disclaimer that it's not by any means a licensed agent. So it's just giving suggestions based on the information that is being prompted in that chat feature. All right. Let's go back up to the nav bar here. All right, so the first thing we're going to jump into is tools. All right, before we get into any applications or setting up quotes, I just want to walk you all through a couple of helpful tools available to you all. We're going to walk through the reports center. All right, and we're going to walk through, I'm sorry here, it looks like our appetite guide may have been moved. Oh, no, I'm sorry, give me a second. I just realized I am in the network portal. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. Now we're in the right portal. So it looks exactly the same. It just has the quote button here available. I was in another demo org, so apologize. But in any case, our nav bar here under the tools menu, we will see the appetite guide and the report center. So these are the two tools that I'm going to walk you all through here today. The first one we'll jump into is the appetite guide. All right, so we'll click into the appetite guide tool. This is not a mission critical tool. This is available for you for a couple of different reasons. One, let's say you're on a call with an insured, trying to get an idea of whether a risk may be covered by the carriers available on the platform. You can plug the information in here and it'll give you a quick bird's eye view. All right, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So I can start typing in the NAICS code if I know it off the top of my head. If I don't, I can type in a description. Okay, this search bar is generative. I can type in things like ice cream, see a bunch of different options pop up there. I can type in things like t-shirt, see apparel, knitting, mills, gift novelty, souvenir retailers. A lot of different ways to get to those codes. Okay, let's go with 424910, farm supplies, merchant wholesalers. We'll go with Colorado. That is the state I am in. And then we pick our policy type, hit get appetite guide. And very quickly, we get a response from the carriers on which carriers may consider writing this risk versus those that may not. Okay. Now, keep in mind, I only plugged in 3 pieces of information. Okay, there's a very good chance that I plug some additional information into the application that changes the outcome. However, based on the NAICS state and policy type, I can see those that will consider writing this and those that won't. Another reason this tool is helpful is because it gives you a quick view of which carriers are available. Okay, if I change the policy type, let's say I go to work comp and then hit get appetite, it's now going to give me the list of carriers on the platform that LocalEdge has a contract with that write work comp. Okay, so again, this is good it's not a mission critical tool. Good if you're trying to get a quick bird's eye view, let your client know, yeah, you know what, there's carriers that'll consider writing this. Let me plug it into the system. Or again, if you're just trying to see what carriers write a particular line of business, you can also get a quick view that way. Also, if you're trying to do some pre-work, all right, what I mean by that is, so we're looking at 424910. Okay, by the way, we do have the NAICS website linked right here if we do want to get some more information on that NAICS code. If we're working with a client that runs an animal feed wholesaler operation, animal feed wholesale rolls up under overarching NAICS code 424910. Chubb here is telling me they have appetite for it. However, if I click into view carrier codes, which I'm now looking at the specific Chubb codes that roll into this overarching NAICS code, I can see that they do have appetite for 424910 here. However, it's only for gardening supplies wholesalers. So if when I start this application, I now know that I'm probably not going to want to include Chubb because they do have appetite for 424910, however, only for gardening supplies wholesalers, not for animal feed wholesalers. Okay, so again, just a helpful tool, not something you have to use. Just again, gives you a quick bird's eye view and may let you know what carriers you may want to focus on. All right, I'm going to head over to our report center. I'll breeze through this pretty quickly. So we have 2 different options. We could generate a one-off report or add a scheduled report. All right, if I click on into that, we'll see the different report types here available in the drop-down. All right, we have like our active agent details, for example. If I click into a report, it'll show me the columns, labels that it's going to pull, so I know what information I'm pulling. Drop in the email. time frame. Maybe I want this for the last 2 weeks. I click download report copy. It'll download directly to my browser. Okay, I can also schedule a report. Again, same report types available here. Slice and dice data in various different ways. Drop in the recipient email. Go ahead and schedule that report, and it'll land on in my inbox on a regularly scheduled cadence, whether that's daily, weekly, monthly. That option does exist for you. All right, we head on back to home here. Next, I'm going to cover setting up your broker codes. Okay, so in the navigation bar here, we'll go to broker configuration. Okay, when I click on into that, it's going to show me the carriers here on the left-hand side. I'm in a demo org here, by the way, so although everything will look and feel pretty much exactly the same, there will be a couple inconsistencies, so bear with me, maybe a carrier or two that's in my demo org here and not in production. So again, just bear with me. But in any case, settings, broker configuration, we see our carriers here on the left-hand side. When you log in for the first time, you will already be set up with access to all of the LocalEdge codes. Okay, there will be no additional work to get any of those set up. This is only if you want to load in your own direct appointments for the carriers available on the platform. Okay, which the team does encourage you to do. Okay, this is an open marketplace for you. If you have your direct appointments, go ahead and load them on in. If you don't have any direct appointments with the carriers on the platform, no problem. Again, you're already set up with those codes to start quoting directly on the platform right out of the gates from the second you log in. All right, the additional work again will be if you want to load in your own codes. And now that brings me to AmTrust specifically. All right, so a lot of you have already probably logged into a portal very similar to this one, but for AmTrust specifically. Okay, this version of the portal is going to give you access to AmTrust the same way that you get it through the other portal and all of these additional carriers. Okay, what we're going to be doing on the back end is loading those AmTrust codes for you in bulk over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. However, if you did want to get your AmTrust code into this portal, so you're not having to toggle between the two portals, which I'll show you how to do that in just a second, you can drop in your own AmTrust information directly into this portal as you have it set up on the other portal. Okay, to do that, again, you select the carrier on the left-hand side. For the sake of this demo, again, we'll go with AmTrust. I hit add broker ID. Label is just whatever I want to call this thing. Okay, maybe I call this Andres' AmTrust code. All right, you can use the same naming convention that you have in the other portal for your AmTrust code if you already have one set up. Drop in my email, my username and password that I use to get into the AmTrust portal. This helpful article up here will walk me through exactly where to get that information because it does vary by carrier. Once I hit save changes, I'll see that code pop up and I'll see this under the level column here, this blue indicator that says agency. Okay, so if I go to CNA, for example, if LocalEdge just set me up with a CNA code, I would see it pop up here and I would see this network indicator here under level. Again, no additional work there. That just means I'm good to go with CNA. I can start quoting with them right out of the gates. Okay. If I added in my own CNA code, I would see it pop up with a blue indicator indicating that there's an agency level appointment, and then my network code. Okay. So again, if you want AmTrust in this portal, go ahead and drop in your AmTrust broker ID, and then you have everything in one spot. Or you can toggle between the two portals, which you'll do in the upper right-hand corner here in this dropdown. If I hover, I'll see the two different options. In this case, again, I'm in a demo org, so I just have my agent portal, my network portal, but you would see your two profiles. One of them will say LocalEdge AmTrust. The other will say LocalEdge BSG, Bridge Specialty Group. Bridge Specialty Group BSG is the portal where you will have access to all carriers. All right. In any case, again, over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, we'll be loading in those AmTrust codes for you all. So you will see them eventually pop up into the portal. But if you, again, wanted to get ahead of that, you can do that just adding the broker ID here. All right. If you were going to add in your traveler's code, for example, they just need a producer code. Okay. I drop in that producer code. Again, I name this maybe Andres' traveler's code. I hit save changes. I'm good to start quoting the travelers right out of the gates. So quick and easy and simple process. Okay, so if you have your direct appointments, go ahead and load them on in. All right, go back to home here. Next, I'm going to cover loading your accounts. All right, so under the accounts drop down here, go into by accounts. I always tell agents it's best practice, kind of when you're first logging into this thing, to get everything set up for success. Again, for those remarkets, for those renewals, go ahead and get your accounts loaded on in, and you can start working through those right out of the gates. Okay. To do that, again, in the accounts drop down, we go to buy accounts. You click new account, load them in one by one here. You type in the account name, first name, last name, email, and phone number for that corresponding account. You'll see this is the only required field to set up the shell. However, you will need this other information, obviously, when going through an application. So if you have it, you can plug it in. Anywhere you see address in the system, we have a direct integration with Google addresses, which lowers that E&O exposure. Make sure we're capturing that address accurately. All right, it starts pre-filling some options for me there. I can select it and it'll fill that section out for me. But in any case, again, I'm making sure that I'm capturing that address accurately. Click add account, good to go. All right, so that is how you can add them in one by one. If you're able to export a list of all of your accounts from your AMS, for example, into an Excel or CSV format, email it over to support@coverforce.com, that email I showed you earlier, and we'll work with our team to get those accounts loaded in bulk for you on the back end. Just give us 24 to 48 hours. We'll have those loaded on in. Let me show you what a completed account looks like. All right, an account, again, account is synonymous with your clients, right? So every account is a client. Greenfelder and Sons is a client, Felicity Test, and so on and so forth, right? This search bar is generative. Again, I could start typing in the name of my accounts here and it'll pull them up for me. Okay, we have 50 pages worth of accounts here. Okay, quickest way to find an account, again, just start typing it on in. We're going to go to Greenfelder and Sons. That is my client that I'll be setting up a policy for, or a quote for today, rather. All right, so I click into Greenfelder and Sons, and this is the account layout. It shows all the information here on the left-hand side, and then in the middle here are all the applications and quotes for Greenfelder and Sons, broken out by policy type. All right, we have our work comp, our cyber, our BOP, GL, so on and so forth. All of that data is saved here. Again, allowing us to recycle that data and use it for remarkets and renewals. I'll show you what that looks like towards the back end of the demo here. All right, just wanted to show you what an account looked like. Okay, let's jump into setting up a new quote. So you can do that by clicking the new quote button. All right, now if I'm in an account already, Greenfelder and Sons, for example, and I hit new quote, it'll pre-fill that information for me. Okay, if I'm on the home screen, we'll always see the new quote button available here in the nav bar. If I click on into it, it'll be a clean slate for me. Okay, same screen pops up, but a clean slate. Then I can start typing in the name of my account here. Greenfelder and Sons, we choose the policy type. Let's go with BOP, and let's stick with good old 424910 Farm Supplies Merchant Wholesalers. We'll go with Colorado. Now you can see it did exactly what the appetite guide did. Okay, broke it out into two columns. Those that are going to consider writing this and those that won't. From here, you have the ability to select or deselect any carriers that you want to include or exclude as part of this application. Maybe in the month of June, I just want to write Travelers business. Great, I can select just Travelers. It's only going to pull through Travelers underwriting questions for me. Or if I want to cast the widest net, I can do that. I'm not going to pick Chubb because if you remember, I said I was going to try to write an animal feed wholesaler policy here. Chubb doesn't have appetite for it. They said they only had appetite for gardening supplies wholesalers. Great. I did my pre-work. I'm not going to include Chubb. Those not an appetite, I can select those as well. Two reasons I can think of we may want to do that. One, you've written this before with AmTrust, for example. You know your underwriter over there can grant you an exception if you give them additional piece of underwriting information they need. Great. I can pull them through in the workflow, get all the way through, and then go work with the LocalEdge team to connect with the underwriter and so on and so forth. If you have your own direct appointments, you'd connect with the underwriter directly. But in any case, we give you the ability to select them. If you're headed to your ENS markets and you need your declines, get your declines on the platform. All the declines on the platform are legitimate. And in some cases, carriers will actually let you bridge those declines over to their portals. Okay. So great spot to get your declines to head to your ENS markets as well. All right. Once we've selected our carriers, confirmed our policy type, NAICS code and state, we're good to go. We hit next, we get to step 2 out of 2 for the start new quote flow. This is my favorite tool on the platform. Okay, this is the Smart Document Pre-Filled powered by AI. This thing is incredibly powerful. You can upload things like Accord forms, quote docs, policy docs, deck pages, COIs, whatever you have, drag and drop it on into this thing. You can also click into it anywhere in this box and it'll pull up your file share. All right. But in any case, drag and drop it on in there. You can load in, again, anything you got, even if you have an email thread with you and the insured and they're giving you relevant information to the business in an email thread. If you can PDF that email, drop it on in here. You can load 5, 10, 20, 25 different docs into this thing. I have not seen it break. It's incredibly powerful. It'll work to extract anything and everything it can off of anything that's loaded into it and pre-fill an application for you. We do support multiple employee type, multiple location. All right. We've had agents drop in 35 location Accord forms. It's pulled every single location off of those forms and pre-filled an application. It saved agents hours of manually keying in employee type information, manually keying in location information. If you have that information already, drag and drop it in. Loss run summaries in Excel format, drop them on in. We support JPEG, PNG, PDF, doc files, text files, Excel files. If you have EMOD worksheets, drop them on in. It'll pull everything it can for loss runs, for EMODs, answer underwriting questions, whatever you have. Give yourself a head start. It's going to make your life a lot easier. Very powerful tool. Again, I have not seen this thing break. We have a team of engineers that are constantly retraining the AI model, making this thing more powerful. Use it to your advantage. All right, I'm going to jump into an application that has already been started. We're going to go into Greenfelder and Sons here in my recent applications. We have a work comp app. Let's go ahead and pull that on up. Okay, you can see Greenfelder and Sons, work comp. This is the application workflow on the left-hand side here. Okay, it is in sequential order. We did jump ahead to quotes here. I will walk you all through it really quickly, but I wanted to show you when you're on the quote screen, see AmTrust, Chubb, Liberty, CNA, Guard, all returned quotes for me. As I mentioned earlier, this is a great tool for blocking markets. Okay, some will block for 30 days, some will block for 60 days. In any case, we've blocked markets here. Okay, and just because we've done that doesn't mean we can't go back and edit the application. It's not going to unblock the market. So I get all the way to the screen, I get all these quotes. Greenfelder and Sons says, hey, you know what? Sorry, I forgot to mention payroll went up. Great. Let's go back and adjust. We have our markets blocked. We've saved our place in line. We can then go back and do that. We'll go back to step one here, general questions. Okay, if I was starting an application from scratch, this is where I would land. If I had loaded in a bunch of documents into that pre-fill tool, odds are a lot of this would already be filled out for me. Confirm our policy effective date there. We click next. Get on to industry selection. Here is where we will decide the classification for this risk. Okay, we're confirming it here. We'd already picked it in the new quote screen, but here we're going to make sure that we've picked the right overarching NAICS code. In this case, it was an Offices of Lawyers. Great. Yep, 54110. This is what we wanted. This is a different Greenfelder and Sons. I guess they have an Office of Lawyers and animal feed wholesaler operation. In any case, we come in here and we confirm the code. And now, again, we break it all the way down to the individual carrier codes that roll up into that code. Now, what that means is if I click into Chubb, I click select industry here, I'll see that there's 4 lines that have 541110. You see these NAICS codes start to change down here. We're just looking at 541110. They have 4 different ways of looking at an Office of Lawyers. It's either a lawyer's office, arbitrator excluding law, mediator excluding law practices, so on and so forth. They have their own codes. These are Chubb's codes. This is exactly what you'd be doing if you were in Chubb's portal. Here, we're just having you do it in one spot. Let's make sure we're picking the right classification because 1, it's going to lower our E&O exposure, and 2, it's going to pull through the exact set of underwriting questions that we would see in Chubb's portal. We're not here to ask you generic underwriting questions and answer more than you need to. We're going to have you answer the exact underwriting questions that you'd answer in Chubb's portal and CNA's portal, so on and so forth, so that you're getting that accurate quote coming on through. We're here to save you time. We don't want to get these indicative quotes back, so you're going back and forth with your client. Let's get you exactly what you need. So you pick that code. All right, you'll notice some carriers aren't showing up here, that's because they are skipping this section. This whole workflow is dynamic. Okay, depending on what NAICS code I have, depending on what carrier I have, and so on and so forth, it's going to change every section as I click on through to save you time. It'll remove any of the additional work that's not needed. Okay, for this specific NAICS code, the other carriers said, we're good, no need to confirm. Go ahead and click on through. Once we're good there, we click next, we get to locations. Again, direct link with Google addresses. Here's our employee type information. If I need to add an employee type, I can click that button right here. If I had 30 locations added through an Accord form I uploaded through that tool, I'd see all 30 locations on the left-hand side. If I want to add a 31st, I can click Add Location here on the left. Once our location information is good, click on through, we get to owner-officer details. So we plug that in, plug in our EMODs, past policy loss information. Again, a lot of this will probably already be pre-filled for me if I loaded some stuff into the AI doc tool. Then we get to our underwriting questions. I'll pause here for a second, just kind of walk you through some of the things that we've done to make your lives easier. The first thing we did, so we went through a massive data exercise with all of the carriers on the platform, and we'll continue doing that with every carrier we partner with. So we said, give us every one of your underwriting questions for every scenario and the most common answers. We're going to train an AI model. The AI model identified all of the overlapping underwriting questions and put them in common questions. Okay, there's a lot of duplicate questions that may be worded slightly differently across carriers, but we don't want you to have to go through and answer it 6 times for 6 different carriers or 10 different times for 10 different carriers, depending on how many you've chosen for that particular risk. Let's answer them once and then just answer what's remaining. Common questions, we drop all of those questions on in here where there's overlap. Okay, the second thing we did is we have this pre-fill with AI underwriter button. If I click that button, it's going to pre-fill these answers for me based on that trained AI model. The AI model, again, has taken all of the NAICS codes across all these different locations. Everything I've plugged into this application so far is what that AI model is going to reference to answer these questions for me. Okay, so once I click that, again, it answers them for me. I can always change an answer if I need to. So just give it a quick set of eyes, but it's saving you some clicks. Now I click next. Once that looks good, I get AmTrust. Okay, if you want to remove a carrier at any point, by the way, you can do that here on the left-hand side. Okay, AmTrust only has 2 questions left. Travelers has a few there. Chubb has 1. You click on through. Again, we're only asking you what you would be answering in the carrier portal. Get to Guard. Guard has 4 questions there left. Click on through. We're done with the questions. We get to the last step before we hit the quote screen. Broker codes. This is where we're going to select our broker code. Okay, again, as I mentioned earlier, these yellow, gold network codes, those are the ones that are already set up for us. The direct appointments are in this blue. They're going to show up with this little blue indicator here. Click the drop down for any carrier and make sure you select the right code, because when I hit next, it's going to take all this information, send it off to the carriers, and start blocking markets, as I mentioned. So we want to make sure we're blocking it with either the shared code or with our direct appointment if we have one. All right, we want to let the carriers know who's blocking that market. When we write that risk, who's going to be writing it? Are we doing it with that shared code, or are we doing it with a direct appointment? Pause here for a second, make sure you pick the right code. Click next, you get to the quote screen. Longest part of the process typically takes 30 to 60 seconds. All right, you start seeing some quotes come back. We have our A&M best rating right out of the gates. We have our limits drop down. Limits you see available are sent back directly from the carrier. Okay, so you'll see Chubb's given us 5 options, AmTrust only 3. All right, we'll confirm the policy effective date here. If you see your declines come through, you can click into that decline box and it'll tell you why it was blocked. Okay, here, please indicate where owners or officers are located. Okay, so it's just an issue with the owners officers. In any case, if it's declined for coastal exposure, fire exposure, wind exposure, whatever it may be, you'd see those reasons pop up in the decline box here. Okay, there'll be a link available if the carrier allows you to go connect and maybe work with the LocalEdge team to work with the underwriter over there. If it's a direct appointment, you can just bridge over, log on into the Travelers portal, go connect to your underwriter. Okay, Travelers isn't actually one of the ones that lets you bridge over, which is why there's no link here. Otherwise, you'd see it in this declination box. All right, next. Again, we scroll through, we see a bunch of different quotes here. When I hit the drop down, I'll see the submit for review option. Okay, I click that submit for review option. It pulls up this box here. What this is now going to do, once I hit yes, is send off to the central team. It'll send off to LocalEdge central team. They will review this and they will connect with you on next steps. Whether that is them going to bind with the carrier that you've submitted this request for, or if they need additional information, they will connect with you. Okay, we always say please allow 1 to 2 business days. Let the team work through it. They will follow up with you, sometimes a lot quicker than that. Again, just depending on volume and so on and so forth. This notes to central team. Great box to plug in some additional notes for the LocalEdge team. Okay, if you want to request a liquor endorsement, for example, plug those notes in here. Hey, can you please add an endorsement for beauty salon, whatever it may be, right? You drop those notes in here. That goes off the central team along with the submission. They'll see it land in their queue. They'll start to work through it. Well, whatever you've added in here, they'll know that they need to go request an endorsement. They'll work with the carrier to do that, and then they'll connect with you. Okay, so this box is available for you for any additional notes. It's that quick and simple. Okay. If you do have your own direct appointment, all right, so I come in here and I believe these might be all, okay, most of these are set up as submit for reviews. That's, again, the workflow that you would see for those shared codes. For those where you have your own direct appointments, you would probably see a bind now option for, here we go, here's a good example. So AmTrust here in my demo org, let's say I had loaded in my own direct appointment. Rather than the submit for review, I can actually bind this thing directly on platform. I can bridge to carrier portal. If I need to go request an endorsement that wasn't already included in the workflow, if I need to request a credit, I can bridge over. If I click bridge, it'll pull up AmTrust portal. I plug in my credentials. It pulls over all the information from here to AmTrust portal. I just go request my endorsement. I bind it on their platform. Okay. Mark as bound is not the same as bind now. This is if you go block it, or I'm sorry, if you go bind this in the carrier portal, come back in and mark as bound. It does not constitute a binding action with the carrier. It's just for record keeping. Okay, this will keep your reports nice and clean in the system. Now I know when I look at this thing in a year, I'll know that I bound it with AmTrust. I have my policy number and I have my premium amount. I mark that as bound. I'm all set in the system. Okay, so that is an option available for you for clean record keeping. If I wanted to bind directly on the platform, for those that I have my own direct appointments, I can do that. I can click again, drop down here, hit bind now. Takes me to my payment screen. Confirm the information here on the left-hand side. I pick a payment plan. Most of the carriers on the platform are direct bill. The 2 exceptions are Coterie and Hiscox. They do make you enter initial payment information. The rest of the carriers are direct bill. The payment plans that are available in the drop down here are not payment plans CoverForce generated or LocalEdge or Bridge Team generated. We are a straight pass through system, meaning this is what AmTrust has available, and they pass these through to us. We pick the payment plan, we hit confirm payment plan. I get to the confirmation page. I am all done. That is a legitimate bind in the AmTrust portal. All right. Again, we don't have any underwriting rules baked into our platform. That's not what we're here for. We're a straight pass through system. We're taking all this, sending it off to the carriers. The carriers are the ones coming back to us and saying, this is accurate to the penny. Go ahead and bind it directly on the platform. Or this is accurate to the penny. Go ahead and submit it for review, and your LocalEdge team will take care of that. They'll review it. They'll follow up again if they need additional information, or go bind it. All right. These statuses that are coming back directly from the carrier. Okay. That is it. Once we hit that confirmation page, we get that initial policy ID, allow regular carrier processing time, maybe 1 or 2 days, in some cases 2 to 3 hours, depending on the carrier. They'll follow up with initial policy docs, and you are good to go. It is that quick and simple. All right, I'll go back to the quote screen, walk you all through a couple of tools really quickly. Talked about the ability to upload Accord forms. Mentioned that we can also download Accord forms. That's available here on the left-hand side. I hit download Accord. I can pick the type of Accord form, the 125, 126, 130. I can attach the underwriting questions and answers. Okay, I already did all the heavy lifting. You can attach the underwriting questions to any one of the Accord forms or download it as a separate file. All right, I click download. It's going to download this directly to my browser, depending on the size of the file. It's going to pre-fill these Accord forms with all the information I've entered into the application workflow and attach the underwriting questions and all of the corresponding answers. If it's a large file, say I pick all 6 in the underwriting questions, it'll probably email it to you. So just keep an eye on your email. All right, if it's only one, more than likely it'll just download directly to your browser. But that option's available for you. Doc Center, just a document repository, nothing too fancy. You can store relevant documentation for Greenfelder and Sons here. Some carriers will send policy docs back to the document center, not all. All right. We also have this send to additional markets feature, okay, which is just another version of this Accord form download tool. All right, what this lets you do is send this off to another underwriter. So let's say I want to send this off to my guy, Andres Galvez. I plug in his information here, hit add. I can see him in my list of selected underwriters. I can CC whoever I'd like, because what this is going to do is email this application out to other underwriters or whoever else I want to connect with. Okay. Click next once we've finished step 1 there of selecting our markets. Here, very similar to the Accord form download tool, I can attach Accord forms that will pre-fill. I can also attach underwriting questions and answers. Anything in the document center that I've loaded, any relevant documentation I can attach. Anything on my personal machine, I can go ahead and attach it there as well. Let's say I bind some work comp business, and now I want to go get a commercial auto policy. Commercial auto is on our roadmap. We will be releasing it hopefully at some point this year, but it's not on the platform right now. Let's say I want to bundle this information and send it off to somebody to get me some additional commercial auto coverage. I've already done the heavy lifting. I can send them these Accord forms and they can get started on giving me some quotes back. All right, so I attach my Accord forms and my underwriting questions there. Last step is step 3, pulls up this template for me. You want to submit a new insurance application, calls out the business name, policy type, so on and so forth, and then you can type in some notes. Can you please provide some commercial auto quotes? Anything I type in this box will pop up in additional notes. Once I hit send to additional markets, it'll send individual emails. If I've selected 2, 5, 10 different underwriters, or whoever it is, doesn't necessarily have to be an underwriter. It'll send individual emails to those folks with these notes attached and all of those pre-filled Accord forms, the underwriting questions, all nicely bundled for them to do whatever it is they need to do with it, whether it's provide quotes or if you're sending it off to somebody for record keeping, whatever it is. This tool is available so you don't have to toggle back and forth to your email. Whatever email it is that you use to get into the bridge and to get into the platform, that's the email that they will see. They'll see it comes from a do not reply, but you will be CC'd on it so that whoever it is you reach out to will see that email and they'll know who to follow up with. So that tool is available for you. All right, we have 13 minutes left. I quickly wanted to cover the renewals workflow. Okay, so I'll walk you all through that, and that should give us some time here for any questions. So whether I've bound this business or lost it, we have a reminders button available for you. You can click on into it. Select my date here. Let's say I did bind this. This has a July 1st effective date. Maybe on June 2027, June 1st, I want to remind myself that this thing's coming up for renewal. I can either remind just myself or I can remind everybody in my agency. Type in any sort of notes here. Hit create reminder. On June 1st of next year, I will get an email and I'll get pinged in the system. It'll show up in this little bell icon here to let me know that I have an upcoming renewal. All right, now what I can do, let me go back to, if I click this back arrow, it'll take me back to Greenfelder and Sons account. Here again, here's the account layout with all my application and quote data here. It's pinged me. It's June 1st, 2027. I have this work comp app here. I see that I bound it. I want to go ahead and start getting ahead of this renewal and save my place in line. I come into the system. It's 3-dot action button, clone application. Pulls up my clone application screen here. Pre-fills some information for me. And then again, which carriers will have this in appetite versus those that won't. We select our carriers. I hit clone, pulls over all of that information from this application over to a brand new editable app. It'll pull over the general questions, the underwriting questions, the location information, employee type, past policy loss, everything will be pulled over to a brand new editable app. You can add, if there's new carriers, you can add the additional carriers on there if you'd like. If I don't add any additional carriers and nothing material has changed, all I'm doing is hitting clone, going to that new application, updating the effective date, and then clicking next, 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 and getting all the way to that quote screen. I've sat on calls with agents and seen them do that in under 2 minutes. They hit that quote screen, they've blocked markets. I block AmTrust, Chubb, CNA, Guard, Travelers. I get through that in under 2 minutes. I can call Greenfelder and Sons and say, hey, did anything material change? Did payroll change? Is there a new location? If the answer is no, great. I have 5 quotes for you. I save my place in line. What do you think? Who do you want to go with? Or, yes, payroll changed. Great. Let me go back and update it. I can update it while I'm on the call with them. In under 2 minutes, I can get some updated quotes. This tool is incredibly quick to get, it makes it incredibly quick to get through those renewals. Okay. So once you have one work comp app for Greenfelder and Sons, great. It's just a matter of recycling that data moving forward. All of your renewals will be a matter of minutes and it buys you back so much time to focus on new business. All right. The other thing this tool is great for is multi-line quoting. And what I mean by that is, let's say whether I won this business or lost this business, I talked to Greenfelder and Sons. Hey, I have some work comp quotes for you. Or, we're going through a renewal. Great. Can you get me a GL quote? Absolutely. Again, hit that button. Oops. Hit clone application. Pulls this clone application window back up. You'll notice that I can change the policy type. Commercial GL recalculates and gives me now the carriers that have GL available. I select those carriers. I hit clone. It's going to pull over all that information from the work comp app to an editable GL app. Of course, there's some things that are material to one policy type and not the other, so there may be some gaps I have to fill. I've seen agents get through this workflow in under 10 minutes. Now I have work comp quotes and a bunch of GL quotes for this account. Okay, I can get through these quickly. Now, every time I go get them quotes for work comp and GL, again, I'm just recycling data. That's why I tell agents, load your accounts on in, start setting up those remarkets and those renewals. Everything moving forward will just be a matter of cloning and recycling that data and getting through these things a heck of a lot quicker, buying me a lot of additional time to start working and focusing on new business. Keep those retention renewal books high. Let's go get some new business. All right, so that is your renewals workflow. All righty. That wraps up the CoverForce part of the demonstration. Felicity, Dan, anybody else, any other comments or questions, anything you want me to cover before we dive on into Q&A?
Yeah, I would want to encourage our agents to use the notes feature. It's only going to help us help them in the end on the submission in regards, to context on what they want to specifically accomplish.
Yep, and you meant this central team, correct?
Yes, correct. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, so again, just as a reminder, when we go submit for review and we're sending this off to the central team for review, yeah, Dan, great call out there. Any and all notes you have, drop them on in here. It's going to make their lives a lot easier, and it's going to remove a little bit of that back and forth. So any endorsements or credits you want, drop them on and drop those notes on into the central team.
In addition, on the classification under the tools, when you look up a classification, there's going to be the NAICS link. That information provides some really great insight behind the classification and if it's going to be a fit in iQuote or CoverForce.
Yeah. Yep. Great call. I'll just quickly show you. I can always just go to Greenfelder and Sons. Let's go with 54110. Yeah. So it's linked here or linked in the appetite guide. If I click that, it takes me directly to the NAICS website and it gives me a great description of this specific NAICS code, which will help me classify this risk. Okay. It gives me all the different types here that roll into this code. Very, very helpful tool there for you. All right. Looks like most questions were answered. Any other questions we all have? We still have 7 minutes. Happy to go back and cover anything I may have breezed over too quickly or answer any other questions that you all may have.
Mike Spence has a question. So do we need to add all of our clients with LocalEdge to the system? Mike, you don't have to do it, but you can if you feel it would be beneficial to you and to your office to have them all in one place.
Yep,
yes,
exactly.
And for Chris, you log into what we call the bridge. For you, that's the LocalEdge portal that you already have access to. You will log into the bridge and then you will link directly to CoverForce from there. It is single sign-on. It should be a very smooth and easy transition for you. You must, before you log in, make sure you've selected LocalEdge as your office on the bridge. Because especially if you work with multiple bridge offices, you may see an option there. And then the system has to know which office you're trying to work with in CoverForce. So just make sure you've done that. And then you click on the CoverForce button, and when the next little window opens, it'll show you the offices, and you must select LocalEdge. Because clicking that button LocalEdge is what takes you over to CoverForce. So it's a couple of steps to get there, but once you're there, you're good to go. Jason, the LocalEdge team will be sending out a recording. Dan, do you know when that will be happening?
To be honest with you, I'm not really quite sure about when the link will be sent out.
Okay, but I'm sure it'll be sent out pretty shortly.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah, so when you submit for review, is going to LocalEdge to review, not to the company. It's going to the iQuote team at LocalEdge, and they will pick it up and work on it as quickly as possible. That's from Karen Travis asked the question, that particular question. If I'm not answering the question clearly enough, please feel free to re-enter something and let me know. Andy Polk, do we need to constantly update passwords for the different carriers who are appointed with, or does the system just know our agent code and not need it? Andres, do you want to maybe explain that direct access?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so for any carriers where you've dropped in your own broker code and you're going to be bridging over to their portal, so we'll go with, I believe AmTrust. Yeah. So if I wanted to bridge on over to AmTrust, okay, not a great example. And I apologize, I'm in a demo org here, so sometimes we have some inconsistencies. Let's go with, I think Liberty Mutual setup. Yeah. Okay, so it will make you log in. Okay, so whatever username and password you use to log into Liberty Mutual today is what you would plug in here. If you've updated your password directly on Liberty Mutual's website, you just have to use that same password here. It's just pulling up the portal, and then what this is going to do once you drop in your username and password is pull over all this information. So you're not going in and answering or rekeying any of this in. It's just now all dragged over to the Liberty Mutual website, okay, with your direct appointment information. Hopefully that answers your question.
And Bonnie Romansky is asking, which email address do we send our Excel form to upload all of our current clients? That would be to support@coverforce.com. The CoverForce team will be uploading them for you. Correct, Andres?
You got it. That's exactly right. Yep. Support@coverforce.com. Send that on over to us. And again, give us a day or two. And just make sure you tag in there, can you please upload these accounts? Just so that our support team knows what to do with those requests. We just want to make sure sometimes if we get just a blank email with an Excel file and we don't know what the action being requested is. So I would just say make sure you plug in some notes. Like, can you please upload these accounts? And absolutely, we'll go ahead and take care of that for you and save you a bunch of time. I've been to key all that in.
And don't forget to mention which bridge office you want to be working with. So tell them we would like to upload these for my portal on LocalEdge. it'll help CoverForce because there's many offices and they need to know which one it belongs to. So I'm not sure what Jim Kelly is saying. He's just mentioned add a broker. I don't know if that was part of a previous question. So Jim,
it
if you
was,
want to
yeah.
clarify.
It looks like it was a two-part. So having trouble entering credentials from my personal AmTrust account, can you show at a carrier at a broker ID? Yeah, so for that, again, under settings, you go to broker configuration. You're going to click AmTrust, add broker ID, labels, just whatever you want to call that. Okay, so you can type in, I don't know, whatever, agency AmTrust code, your email address, and then your username and password. If you already have access to AmTrust through the LocalEdge AmTrust portal, it would just be the exact information you're going to want to key in here. Once you drop that in and hit save changes, you should be good to go and you'll see it pop up here.
Okay, Heather, why do I have access to some companies with iQuote, but not on the new platform? Dan, do you want to take that question?
Sure. Yeah. So in the iQuote department, we have access to the carriers that are going to be found within CoverForce, but we also have other additional carriers in iQuote. I think there's about 20 in all. So if it doesn't fit for some of the carriers that will have the rating info bridge from the CoverForce to the carrier websites that are in CoverForce, then we can manually run additional carriers like Attune. Great American is actually finding its way into CoverForce now. But there are 20 different carriers in all. It's hard to keep track of everything.
Yeah, thank you. Jason is asking about AmTrust not accepting his credentials. Jason, just email the CoverForce support at coverforce.com and somebody there will help you as quickly as they can.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and as Dan mentioned, Great American is making its way into the platform. We're just working through a couple of last credential issues with the LocalEdge and Great American code. Once that's good to go, Great American will be available. Attune is a carrier that we are speaking with and working with. So, what I mean by working with is working on the integration with. So hopefully Attune will be live on the platform in the next quarter or two. So the idea is any carriers that you all write a good amount of business with, that the bridge team is aligned with, or they're carriers that we will continue pursuing on our end for a partnership, and hopefully eventually get you all the markets that you need on majority of the markets that you need on the platform.
Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, I would just want to encourage our agents to call in if they want to discuss market availability in detail. We're pretty easy to find in iQuote. So when you call the 800 number for LocalEdge, we're option 1. So if you want to discuss an account or appetite, we're here to help you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, we're over time. So I think we will call it a wrap. If you have any questions, you do have the support at coverforce.com and your usual LocalEdge call-in number or email. You can contact either, and we will get back to you as quickly as possible. So thank you, everyone, for your time. Much appreciated. You're taking the time out of it, which is probably a very busy day, to learn about the CoverForce platform. We're really excited to put it in front of all of you and have you start using it. We're pretty sure it'll make you far more efficient and help you to sell business, which is what it's all about. So thank you very much, everyone. And thanks, Andres, for doing the demo for us.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much. Feel free to reach out if you need some help navigating the platform or whatnot. We have a great support team either through the CoverForce side or from the LocalEdge team. LocalEdge and Bridge folks are all very responsive. So you have lots of support here, and yeah, happy quoting to everyone, and yeah, excited for you all to start jumping on in.